What's going on, guys? About a year ago, I made a walk around with this bike. This is my 2019 ZX10. A lot's changed since then. I have a couple different swing arms, a couple different fuel cells, and a tank cover there with a different seat style. I figured I'd just do a new walk around and explain everything I've done. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the engine. There's no internal engine work done to this bike. It runs 8 6s in the quarter mile at 157 with that swing arm, not with this one. It has the Track King clutch plates in it with the Brock springs and shims and the eliminator, the slip eliminator. It has the Voodoo exhaust sidewinder that I modified a little bit. They usually just come straight back like that, but it was burning my boot, so I had to get that off of my foot. When you do that, you have to shorten your radiator because it sticks out down here. The headers do, and they hit. I have the aftermarket oil filter there, high flow, and it's reusable. The filter comes out from the inside. You clean it out with brake cleaner. You can see what's in your filter. I like that about it. And it's high flow. Also have the DME oil pan, low pro billet aluminum oil pan with a swivel pickup. It's tuned. I used the Woolix tuner, and I did the remote tune from More Mafia, where you pretty much ride the bike and it gives you some data. He looks at the data, he changes it, you program the ECU, and then you do that 3 or 4 times until the bike's running perfect. What I like about that is I don't have to go anywhere, and I get real track data with my weight on the bike, and it loads the bike. You're in the same air temperature that you would normally be in, so there's some pros to that. I have a K&N air filter, and I also have a Zenetronics on there, so I can look at my AFR. I have the MPS air shifter. And I was using my horn, but I didn't like that, so I pretty much changed all my controls, and this is a much better military grade button. Here is where I just hit that and have a little air compressor under the seat in there, and that's where I can see the air pressure. So that's pretty much all I have done to the engine, and the rest is just bike setup. But that's pretty impressive, I think, to be able to buy a 1000 and just do minimal stuff and get into the 8s. That's pretty cool, I think. The bike is lowered in the back and in the front. In the back, you got the Brock's lowering link and Brock's linkage there with the Penske rear shock. That's also really cool, very easy to adjust. You can control your rebound. You can really control it too. You can make that thing come up real slow or fast as you want. In the front, a lot of guys, they just lower the bike and they slide these up, and you'll see they stick way up out of the top. I didn't want to do that, so I went to DME and I had them cut the forks 2.5 inches. This way I don't have to use straps or anything like that. The bike always sits exactly where I want it. The only issue I have with that is the 2019 forks have a gas chamber right down there. If you look at these newer bikes that have those gas chambers, they can't cut those. So I had to sell those on eBay and then buy these on eBay off of 2012. They're the same diameter, so they fit right in. But the only problem you also have with these bikes is the diameter will be different at the top than at the bottom. So if you try to slide it up to a certain point, your bottom clamp isn't clamping anymore. So what they do is they put them on a lathe and they cut off all that extra metal. That's why that looks like a different color. One day I'll get these forks anodized so they look nice. And then they make that shim right there, and that takes up the gap in the bottom so that you can slide these up as far as you'd like without losing any grip in the bottom. So that's engine and that's the lowering. And then we'll talk about all I've done to lighten the bike. Obviously, carbon fiber front fender, it's not really a big deal, but it does make a difference. I removed the headlights and bought these aftermarket fiberglass fairings. And then I removed the rear brake and the right side front brake and the entire ABS system, the module, all the lines, everything. When I did that, you have to buy a connector for your ABS where it used to connect, your wiring harness used to connect to your module. It'll start throwing codes, and so in order to alleviate that, you buy this $250 connector. It plugs right in, and then you don't have any codes. One of the issues you're going to have if you do the 2012 front forks is they have a different brake rotor size, and so you have to get a different brake. So I went ahead and just got an aftermarket rotor, and I got this Brembo right here, and I bought the Cormoto brake line. You can order those from Cormoto, any length you want, any bend you want. And I threw those on, and then I went ahead and got a better front master cylinder with a shorty lever. I like that a lot. Works really good. Bike still stops great, but there's no ABS, so you got to make sure the bike is straight when you nail that brake. I had an incident where I was turning a little bit, and I guess I was on the side of the tire instead of dead center on the tire, and I felt it kind of lock up on me and slide. So you got to be careful with that. And then we got some aftermarket foot pegs here. Those are also, I believe, DME. And I made that plate. That's for when I drag race, just to get my feet back. It's a little easier to get your feet back on the pegs. If I'm roll racing, I'll move them back up. I'll get rid of that plate. Then we got two different setups for the swing arm. Like I said, this is this is not Cormo. This is a Evil swing arm. They're cheaper than the DMEs. The DMEs are made out of aluminum. The Evil is made out of steel, or I think it's chromoly, I'm not sure. I think it's steel, and the axle's made of chromoly. But I like them both. The only thing I don't like about the DME swing arm is it seems like I got new seals for all that. Sorry about that, it's ugly. But you see how it gets chewed up down there on the bottom side? I always have to buy these and replace them all the time. It just seems like no matter what I do, even with this, this wheel I made here tries to keep it off, and then this feeds it back in on the other side. But with the Evil, it doesn't seem to have that problem. It doesn't really chew it up as much. Now, as far as the tank setup, this is what I'm running right now. It's a 1.5 gallon. It's made from Strickland Performance. So is that. That's the 1 gallon Strickland Performance tank. And you can put that shell on when you have that one. I thought I was going to be able to get the shell on with this tank, but the issue is when that tank is on, it's like stops right here. And if you look at that tank, the way it's shaped, it comes right here. So you do get to get a little bit closer up, but the tank shell comes up higher, so you can't tuck as well. I'm not sure which, I was going to use this just for roll racing because it has a bigger tank so I can ride around a little bit further. But once I started drag racing like this and felt what it felt like to be able to get my whole chest and head and all the way up in the visor and get more weight on the front of the bike, I'm thinking I might just stick with this, and I don't really mind all the stuff being bare. I think it kind of looks cool. I don't know. You tell me what you think. This is a little seat I made yesterday. Previously, I didn't have this on here. I just had it like that, just flat, straight back. And that was when I was just doing roll racing. But at the track, I wasn't sure if I needed the notch or not. So I'm going to the track in Bradenton here in a couple of weeks. So I figured I'd throw this on and just see how that works out. Don't know if I'm missing anything or not. I think I covered it all. Yeah, and I mean, obviously the wheels, they're lighter with the ceramic bearings. That made a pretty big difference, believe it or not. And then, yeah, both of these swing arms hold the air inside here, which is really nice. You don't have to have a tank for that. And if you look at my other videos, it shows how I built this. When you get it from Strickland Performance, you get the tank and you get the shell, but it only like comes back to here and it doesn't have any seat or anything like that. Actually, I think it just stops like right here. Yeah, it just stops like somewhere right there and mounts to where your old tank used to mount at. So I made this whole seat, which I like it a lot. It was a lot of work and I got it painted. So I'm going to put it back on. I think what I'm going to do is go to the track with both of them and then change at the track and see if I notice a difference or what I like, because it does look really nice with the tank on there. But it's been a lot of work, and it's been a lot of fun though. And I've learned a lot, made a few mistakes along the way. Yeah, also this is where I start the bike, the same switch that I got on the other side. And these, that's for my fans. So I can have one fan on or both fans on. If I click that down, when the fans, they come on normal, just like how they normally would, except just one fan will come on or both fans will come on. And then, I got this. You need that for the drag races. They hook up to your leathers, to your sleeve. In case you fall off the bike turns off. Yeah, and then I got these carbon fiber covers, I just thought it looked good. Doesn't really add any performance or make your bike any lighter. But I love this bike and I love drag racing. It's a lot of fun if you guys are interested in it. There's plenty of videos on my channel. And you can see the bike, how I started off in the very beginning with everything pretty much stock and just a swing arm on it. And I've went through a lot of gearing changes. I think that was one of the things, trying to figure out how to get the sprockets just right. With drag racing, you want to use your entire transmission. So you want to go through the quarter mile. When you're going through the end of the quarter at the finish line, you want to be in 6th gear and you want to just barely pull right past the finish line and have nothing left. So it was a lot of, I figured out you don't want to mess with that front sprocket. You want to keep it as big as you can and just change your rear sprockets. They're easier to change. You can pop the wheel off at the track, throw a different sprocket on. And I finally figured it out that this is the 525 chain. That's what I use when I'm drag racing. When I'm roll racing, I got a 520 setup, but I don't trust the 520 chains at the track. It just feel like they might be okay, but why am I going to risk, breaking a chain and screwing my whole engine up just to save a little bit of weight on the chain? But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. If you guys are into drag racing, it takes a lot of work and a lot of money. Even if you do the work yourself, it's a very expensive sport. I'm not even sure how much money I have wrapped up in this bike right now, but it's more than I want to add up. But you guys have a good day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, share. Love you guys. Be good.